When you start a new bullet journal, you don't want to miss anything, and this is why pre-planning is important. Let's have a look at the steps to make your best bullet journal yet. Like any great endeavor, I prefer to start with purpose first. Purpose is the reason we do something. So with regards to our journals, I like to think about this as being, what do I want my journal to help me accomplish? Or what am I aiming for with using this journal? And also, why am I aiming for that? What makes that important? While I won't necessarily write down the why part of the purpose, the what is something I will be writing down. We have two different options for this. You can either write your purposes out as a list, or what I prefer to do is draw mine out as a mind map. This just allows me to expand on and connect my ideas. So for instance, if I want my journal to help me with mental health, what aspects in particular might that relate to? Is it stress management or time management? Is it building connection with people? Etc. For each of the different purposes that I want my journal to fill, or areas that I want it to help with, I just draw this as a branch that comes off the central bubble. I've labeled that bubble New Joe for New Journal. To help you get started with your list of purposes, or your mind map if you're doing it like me, these are some of the questions that I like to ask myself as I draw that out. So what do I want this journal to help me achieve or do? What do I want this journal to do for me? How do I want this journal to make me feel? And what areas of my life are there that this journal could help with? Once we have our purpose, our next step is really just considering how can we make our journal fulfill that purpose? So what pages or layouts are we going to include in the journal to help that purpose become reality? Some of the questions you might want to ask with regards to this area are, how can my journal service this area? What can I include in my journal to assist in this area? What could I include in my journal to fulfill this purpose? You can effectively think of this as problem solving. So this is the issue that I want addressed, and how is it that my journal is going to address that issue? For example, the reason that you might want to include an index in your journal is so that you're able to find layouts with more ease. The reason we'd include a future log is so that we have a space to write things that are happening or need to get done on a specific future date. I like to think of pages as problem solvers for the brainstorm. This is the issue I'm having, and this is the layout that will solve it. Our third step in this pre-planning are the bonus bits, or anything else that we might want to include. Not everything that we include in our journal is going to be a problem solver. Sometimes we just want to include it for fun or because we're curious about it, and that's totally fine. Not all of our layouts need to address a pain point in our lives. This step in particular is why I always like to have a spread in each of my everyday bullet journals dedicated to my next one. In that layout, I can write down notes about what is or isn't working, and any layouts that I might want to add or try in my next notebook. I'm a fan of trying new things, so in this step, this is also where I'd go to my Instagram saves and see any of the inspiration I've collected over the last period. If you are looking for additional ideas, we do have a previous video looking at 50 layouts you could include in a new journal setup. That one's linked in the description box below. And it also comes with a free printable, which is worth checking out. At this point, you might have quite an extensive list of things that you want to include in your new journal, and that can be a bit daunting. Personally, I find it quite exciting because I like setting up new layouts, but we don't want you to get overwhelmed because that's a surefire way to not actually using your journal, which isn't going to help it fulfill its purpose. Our fourth step then sees us refining this list so we're only left with the ones that will actually serve us right now. Again, I love a good list of questions, so things that I ask myself during this stage are, how will I use the information collected in this layout? Is this the right season of my life for this layout? Would this information be better stored or recorded elsewhere? Will this layout be easy to use and fill in? And most importantly, will I actually use this layout? As you go through the list of questions, you may find some layouts that you still want to do at some point, but they're not for right now. Those layouts are worthwhile noting down for future reference, so you might want to make a collection for them somewhere else. And that could be in your new bullet journal. Effectively though, what we want to do is refine our list until we're left with just the ones that you know you'll want to set up in your new journal. If you did want to think a little bit more deeply about this pre-planning process, then we do also have a journal prompt list with 30 questions to help you make sure that you're covering all of your bases when it comes to your next setup. After these steps, we'll know what we want to include in our journal, but a very common pain point is considering what order do we want to put those pages in. I of course have some tips for you, which you can find in this video here, and I recommend watching that one before you actually start putting your layouts into your new journal. Click or tap on that one, and I'll see you over there.